everyone, and welcome to the Safety Artisan, where you will find professional, pragmatic, and impartial instruction on all things system safety. Here we are. We're going to be talking today about subsystem hazard analysis, and this is task 204 under the military standard 882E. We're now moving into getting stuck into particular systems that we're thinking about, whether they be physical systems or intangible. So the topics that we're going to cover today, I've got a little preamble to set things in perspective. We then get into the three purposes of task 204. First of all, to verify compliance. Secondly, to identify new hazards. And thirdly, to recommend necessary actions, or in actual fact, that would be, recommend control measures for hazards and risks. We've got 6 slides of task description, a couple of slides on reporting, one on contracting, and then a few slides on some commentary where I put in my tuppence worth and hopefully add some value to the basic bones of the standard. In fact, they're identical except for certain passages, and I've highlighted those in yellow. Now, normally I use a yellow highlight to emphasize something I want to talk about. This time round, I'm using underlining for that, and the yellow is showing you what is different for subsystem hazard analysis as opposed to system. And when you've watched the both sessions on 204 and 205, I think you'll see why and the significance of why I've done that. Anyway, moving on. Before we get started, we need to explain the system model that the 882 is assuming. So we're using the system to do something, whatever it might be. And I've just, we've got a couple here. We've got subsystem A and B, and then A is further broken down into A1 and A2, for example. Okay, so there's some sort of hierarchy of subsystems that is coming together and being integrated to form the overall system. That's the overall picture that I'd like you to bear in mind while we're talking about this. That is to say, requirements to deal with risk and hazards. We must identify previously unidentified hazards, which may emerge as we're working at a lower level now. And we must recommend actions necessary. So that's further requirements to eliminate all hazards or mitigate associated risks. So we'll keep those 3 things in mind, and that will keep coming up. So the first of 6 slides on task description. So basically we are being told to perform and document the SSHA, subsystem hazard analysis, and it's got to include everything, whether it be new development, COTS, GOTS, GFE, NDI, software, and humans, as we'll see later. So everything has to be included. And we're being guided to consider the performance of the subsystem. So, what it's doing when it's doing it properly. We've got to consider performance degradation, functional failures, timing errors, design errors or defects, and inadvertent functioning. And while we're doing the analysis, we must consider the human as a component within the subsystem, dealing with inputs and making outputs, if of course there is an associated human. So we've got to include everything, and we've got to think about what could go wrong with the system. So as we go on, the minimum that the analysis has got to cover is as follows.